In 2016, Europe Goes Local started a project where 26 national agencies of Erasmus Plus and the European Solidarity Corps and their partners work together to better support local youth work. In the spring of 2019, with the launching of a European Charter on Local Youth Work, the project met one of its main aims. The Charter had been out on 2 rounds of consultations to over 200 organizations around Europe and discussed at 2 major European conferences. It is based on major European policy documents. It concretizes a common European knowledge and experience of what is required to establish and maintain quality in youth work. It is a checklist that everyone involved can use as a basis for discussing youth work and its further development. It is the yardstick by which all youth work should be measured. So, what does the Charter contain? It begins with an introduction. A democratic society needs the voices and active participation of young people. In order to fulfill this role, young people need a place where they can set their own agenda. A space where they get stimulation and support to further develop the knowledge, skills, attitudes and values they need in order to reach their full potential as individuals and citizens. Youth work is this space, and young people are and must always be its primary stakeholders. The Charter then contains 5 sections. Each section contains a number of concrete bullet points about what is required to establish and maintain quality youth work. The first and most central section addresses the core principles of youth work. What makes youth work what it is? Just as democracy is based on and defined by principles, such as the equal value of all human beings and the freedom of speech, youth work is also based on certain principles. The Charter states that youth work is value-based, and its core principles are that it needs to be based on voluntary participation, on young people being active in youth work out of their own will and motivation, to be based on and respond to the needs, interests, ideas, and experiences of young people as perceived by themselves, thus bringing added value and/or joy in life. To be created, organized, planned, prepared, carried out and evaluated together with or by young people. To contribute to the personal and social development of young people through non-formal and informal learning. To strive to enhance young people's self-determination, autonomy, and access to rights. To have a holistic perspective on young people and meet them where they are, as capable individuals and primary resources in their own lives and for society as a whole. To promote critical thinking and creativity, as well as human rights, democratic values, and active citizenship. And to be actively inclusive and offer equal opportunities to all young people. The next session addresses policy. What is required of aims and policy documents in order for them to correspond to the basic principles and lay the foundation for youth work that meets the needs of both young people and society. These points are therefore both about policy itself, but also about how it should be developed. The Charter states that youth work practice needs to be guided by a youth work policy that is developed within the framework of and in compliance with the core principles stated above, in cooperation between all relevant stakeholders, including young people, having clear roles and mandates and being engaged in all stages of the process. On the basis of relevant and updated knowledge on young people's needs, rights and interests, as well as on new research and the different forms and methods of youth work that can be used in order to meet aims and objectives. It's based on clear and measurable qualitative and quantitative indicators regarding what shall be achieved in relation to young people's participation, influence and learning. Allocates resources that are appropriate in relation to aims. Contains clear and politically approved local aims and objectives, while respecting the autonomy of local non-governmental organizations. Is clearly positioned in relation to and connected with broader youth policy on all levels, from local to European. The third section addresses how organization and practice should be designed to correspond in the best way to the core principles and policies. The Charter states that the organization and practice of local youth work needs to be set up in dialogue between all relevant stakeholders, to transform aims and objectives to coherent strategies and plans, to define and establish the preconditions and work processes needed for carrying out quality youth work, to continuously exchange information about plans and activities with other local, national and European actors in the field of youth, and actively engage in both cross and intra-sectorial cooperation, to counsel and give young people access to a wide range of adapted information regarding their rights as well as their possibilities to take part in different kinds of local, national and international activities, to stimulate and support young people, to meet over all kinds of barriers and borders in order to socialize, exchange experiences and ideas, organize, learn from each other and take action, to be active citizens and exercise influence in society, including taking part in political decision-making, to be open to the world and to actively engage in regional, national, European and international mobility and cooperation, to articulate, together with young people, learning objectives that they perceive as relevant for their personal and social development, to document and make visible young people's non-formal and informal learning outcomes, that is to say, knowledge, skills, attitudes and values achieved through youth work, and to support the validation of achieved competences, to provide youth workers with information, education, training and support that is relevant and adapted to local needs, and to stimulate and support continuous competence development. The fourth section addresses the requirements that should be placed on the youth worker in terms of knowledge, skills and attitudes if they are to be able to carry out youth work in the best possible way. The Charter states that youth workers need to act within a clear ethical framework based on the core principles stated above, the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the UN Declaration of the Rights of the Child, and the European Convention on Human Rights. To be driven by the will to support young people in their personal and social development. To create an enabling and trustful environment that is actively inclusive, empowering and socially engaging, creative and safe, fun and serious, playful and planned. To see the need for and seek ways to engage young people in all stages of the youth work process, to support young people, to self-organize, to have the competences, that is to say, knowledge, skills, attitudes and values necessary for carrying out youth work in accordance with the principles and actions described in this charter. To see youth work as a process of mutual learning and to see the need for constant competence development. To be aware of and able to articulate the role and mission of the youth workers and not to lend themselves to aims and activities that fall outside the realm of the core principles. To continuously and critically reflect on how their own actions, as well as local objectives, methods, and ways of organizing activities comply with the core principles. The fifth and final section addresses how to work with quality development and continuous quality assurance. If youth work is to be kept up to date and respond to the continuously changing needs of both young people and society. The Charter states that the quality development of local youth work needs a clear and comprehensive system for documentation and follow-up of outcomes, preconditions, and work processes in relation to measurable indicators and aims. Regular and up-to-date mappings of local realities and needs. Clear procedures for continuous analysis of and reflection on outcomes in terms of how they relate to preconditions, work process and activities, and the need for further development. Clear processes for continuous updates on new national and international research, trends, and methods in the field of youth and youth work. Common efforts of all stakeholders to cooperate around quality development and adoption of innovations. Continuous competence development of youth workers based on a clear competency framework in combination with an analysis of local outcomes, needs, strengths, and weaknesses. You can download the Charter in your own language at europegoslocal.eu/changemakerskit.